stock market today just reached all-time highs once again, which is something that's hilarious to say as everyone's pushing a stock market crash theory. Now, I do want to point out that the stock market, I do think, is in a sticky bit of a situation with everything that's going on amidst this upcoming trade war, and ultimately America setting up all these meetings a week before we're supposed to put 155% tariffs on the entire country of China. I mean, not ideal if you know what I mean. But it's important to understand today you have Besant meeting with China's direct trade director, whoever it's going to be. And then you have Trump. That's the big meeting going to be next week. Trump and Xi, which is going to be on Thursday, I believe, of next week as well. So these are very important. This is like the start to it, just to let you know. Now, where things get even more important is this morning you had your inflation data come out. And what's funny is you see two sides of the story being pushed out there. Now, from the media, you have the latest inflation report shows prices rose by the fastest pace since January. And everyone's saying inflation is going crazy. It's doing this, it's doing that. Now, what's important to understand is the truth of what's actually going on out there and then what's actually pushing us into highs. Now, if you don't know, we're expected to cut rates once again at the next Fed meeting. The topic for the Fed meeting has not been inflation because in the Fed's words, Fed Powell, the rest of them, they totally believe that right now what's happening with inflation, specifically because of tariffs, that's why inflation is going up. The reason why and why they want to keep cutting is because they believe inflation is 100% transitory from these tariffs, meaning once we take the tariffs off, inflation should immediately dive back down, unlike what would happen back in 2022. It's worth mentioning they also pushed this theory back then, but I will say tariffs make a lot more sense to be transitory, especially if you get rid of them. You should see it immediately benefit the economy. So again, they're not really worried about that. What the Fed is more concerned with is unemployment data. And if you haven't, unless you live under a rock, you've seen literally almost every major company come out and say, we are reducing employees. It's all going to AI, robotics, etc. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to see a hiatus of jobs or anything along those lines. I want to make sure it's understood. I'm not saying that everyone's going to lose their jobs to AI. However, unemployment is becoming an issue. And if we see this snowball, the Fed is going to have a major issue. You're already seeing unemployment climb to the upside amidst the Trump administration saying that's going to go back down, which who knows what to believe. But the Fed is more, everyone thinks the Fed's main job is to make sure inflation isn't going up, which that's one of the main jobs. But the main and primary goal of the Fed is to maintain maximum employment. So when there's a big fear of unemployment to rise dramatically, like it already has been rising, again, the Fed has to step in, and that's their main priority. Because yes, inflation can cause major pain and stagflation in the economy. I totally agree. But what is more painful for the economy, in my opinion, and in the Fed's opinion, is everyone losing their jobs. Not everyone, but a large majority of people, because then the economy could slip into a downfall, consumers weaken, and again, it's a domino effect. Very important that we understand that, in my personal opinion there. Now, again, we'll be going through a few more things of what's really carrying us right now. I'm also going into, if you're not following on Twitter, I recommend doing so. I posted this as well. A lot of you guys, as we saw the gold dip recently, and we're going to go into gold today as well. Everyone's saying gold is it's a short. You know, I made my last video, gold popped to all-time highs and you dip back down. I think gold's a buy. I still think so. And when you look at central bank gold holdings right now, they're only going up, and they're going straight up, and they're not even close to like anything in the 90s yet. You're getting a major breakout, obviously as high as you've been in the whole 2000s era. So very important to understand that as well. The next thing is going to next week. We have a lot to go into. Obviously, you have all the earnings as well. Now, you had earnings last night with Intel, and then you have some other earnings coming in today. These aren't that big. Next week, they'll be much bigger. Obviously, we have some of the more mid caps that we really like, SoFi, PayPal, there's some of those names. And then we go into Wednesday, which is the apocalypse. You have Meta, Microsoft, Google, Boeing, massive names. Thursday, you have Apple, massive name there as well. So again, next week is huge. And not to mention on Thursday, you also have Trump meeting with Xi. So again, a lot of stuff happening over the next week we have to talk about and what to be looking at. Hindsight, though, is you look at the market, and it's hard not to be in love, guys. It is hard to not be in love. We have a lot to talk about, where we're at on SPY and everything to look for. And ultimately, I'll tell you guys where you should get bearish. If you want to be bearish, where that actually happens. Everyone calls me a perma bull, but it's because I use logic. I don't base my trades. I don't base anything I do based off of emotion. I trade based on what's in front of me, not what I think is going to happen. If you're trying to predict X, Y, and Z, and you're going to a channel so they can tell you what's going to happen tomorrow, I have news for you. They're a snake oil salesman. They're selling you a dream. They're selling you something that is impossible to do. If anyone could come to the market every day and predict exactly what was going to happen, again, they would be working on Wall Street making billions. But I'm going to tell you right now, the secret, no one can. That's my personal opinion. That's why I focus on reacting to the market, making my money where I can, consistently. Let's get to work. Now, again, before we go too far, I do want to say right now, if you want to see what we're trading, how we're trading, the Discord link is down below. We start every day with futures, as you can see here. Again, going into today, what we'll be looking at, as you can see, made new all-time highs in the after hours. You break under 25,395, looking for downside. If you stay above 25,395, you have to remain bullish and then move back into 25,525, then ultimately all-time highs. Well, exactly that happened here on NQ, as you guys can see here as well. Again, bring those levels back up. You can't get bearish until we're back below previous all-time highs. You held up. You actually ended up, look at this really nice bounce here as well off of VWAP, held up, pushed back into highs, now making new highs. Very important to be tracking that. We should be looking at as well. But again, we go over trades, everything we're looking at, the trades here on the day that we took the trade. Again, I am your quant. We had Tesla on the downside to Juicer. We had AVGO to the upside. This was a break, like a 2-3% loss as you broke back below 356. And then we had the big winner here, which was Netflix from basically 1104 all the way down to like 1195, 1196. I was targeting the low 1090s, but again, worth mentioning the profits there as well. Do what you got to do. Link down below. Now, let's get to work on what we're looking for, what we're looking at. Now, again, as you're looking at the market, everything that I'm looking at right now is again in the shorter term right now. Again, and the same rule goes for what I've been talking about and looking at. Make your money in this market and run. I keep saying this over and over and over. What I'm telling Discord, what I'm telling anybody and everybody, Twitter, etc., is when you get into a trade, as you start moving towards your goal, your target, etc., I'm just moving my stop loss the entire time, trailing my stops on every single trade. Again, because of the action that you're getting. Great example here. As I loved NVIDIA today, but you just didn't get any movement above like 185. You're just chilling here. You have a nice little pennant kind of developed here, as you can see, but you have no liquidity above 185 into 187.5. So the fact that you're just ranging here is trash in my opinion, and you're not getting that follow through. AVGO, another one. You're breaking above your big level here, 356. As you can see, you can zoom out and see that level. You really have nothing into 360, then all-time highs. But again, you're not doing anything. AMD had a nice breakout like we talked about, but again, kind of slowing down here. Probably the best looking semi right now. TSM also getting back into this level, but again, doing nothing. So semis are breaking out and then they just stall, and that's not great action. Okay. Apple is pretty tough. Jay called this one above 260, pushing back into all-time highs. Looks really tough there as well. But again, where you're at. And so again, the highlight that you're going to see here is that you're not getting great continuation. Even NASDAQ here, let's use this as an example, okay? You're breaking into highs, or you'll actually break all-time highs like you did here. So again, this is your 730 CPI all-time high you made. Market's open, you break highs, and then you dip back down. So the fact that you're breaking above a massive level, like an all-time high territory, and not seeing follow through, like even here, you're breaking above, but you're not getting that continuation. Like clear as day, you're not, we're just ranging, push up, we range. Like you're getting into areas where there's no liquidity, so you should be seeing bigger moves in a straight line, but you're not. So very important to understand what's taking place and how this is taking place, is that you're not getting the straight continuation. So I'm not saying that buyers are weak, but on the breakouts, you're not seeing strong buyers. It is what it is. Now, you may disagree with that, but again, I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. Now, that being said, again, it's not in this position to get bearish because, again, sellers have opportunities and they don't follow through. So the main thing that I'm looking at is when you get these dips is you're looking for buying opportunities. So VWAP is going to be your best friend, opening range high and low, your best friend. You bounce off your opening range low, remounting your opening range high. Ideally, you get some continuation off that. But again, you're looking and just getting quick reactions on the market right now. Now, on the other side of this, it's very important to realize, let's say that the trade war and that, let's say that going into next week, there is no trade war, everything's solved, no tariffs get put on the market. I want it to be abundantly clear that the market right now, the fact that you're moving up is awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I really do believe you are set up for a massive, massive move if this trade war stuff gets resolved. I want to say that right now. The fact that you need to understand over the past basically week and a half, 2 weeks, it's been nothing but bad news fundamentally coming out from the White House, China, and anyone in between. Very important to understand that. We've raised the tariff limits on what we're going to put on them on November 1st. China has added new export rules against us. They banned more companies, more tech. We've created more export rules. It's just stacked and stacked and stacked for the past 2 weeks. So again, anyone here that's leaning towards, you being bearish, it's just very difficult when the market is responding in this way. Now, again, what you would look for to be bearish is to break below the 50 MA. Now, I think futures give you a better metric of looking at that because you get better and more data since it's going in the overnight session as well. but you can see you're grinding above that 50 MA. If I go to SPY, it's the same thing, but again, it's not as clean necessarily with the fewer touches. But again, below your 50 MA is what you want to see even here on QQQ. But again, not as clean. NASDAQ and ES are way cleaner in my opinion. As you can see, a lot more touches. It's just clear as day. But again, what you're looking at right now. But on the other side of this too, to even start looking down there, as long as you're above these previous all-time highs here, again, 25.4, and then on ES, basically 68.12, you're looking for continuation on. There's no reason to even like be looking at downside at all. Okay. Very important to understand that, why I'm looking at it, what I'm looking for, etc. And then obviously as we go into next week with earnings, like if these earnings start printing, it's going to be fuel on the fire. You also need to understand you haven't even had your biggest earnings in the market. I mean, Tesla, neat, Intel, cool, Netflix, cool, but these aren't your big boy names. Meta, heavy tech name. Microsoft, heavy tech name. Alphabet, heavy tech name. Apple, heavy tech name. But now I want to move more toward equities, what I'm looking to trade, how you can profit off this, everything you're looking at right now. So Netflix has been one of the weakest names out there. And again, you're kind of right back where we entered in this morning. Again, the levels that I'm watching, and you have to zoom out. Again, before you guys always ask about stocks on Twitter, and I don't mind answering questions, but I encourage you guys to zoom out and like do some work for yourself. As you can see here, you're holding your key level at 1103, 1104 right now. You're getting back into it. So again, very interesting. As long as you're below 200 SMA, I am looking for downside. Below 1104, you're really weak. So where we're at right now, I also want to highlight you have no liquidity down until 1065 basically. It is worth mentioning at lows, you were basically down $20 on the day on Netflix. So it's like, how much can you really drop in a day? So that is worth mentioning right now. But if you start seeing selling on the market, Netflix is my #1 downside stock. It's super easy to see. I'll start with more downside. I'll move into upside names. Next up is going to be Tesla. This has been a rinse and repeat trade. I'm telling you guys, I take the same trades over and over and over and over. And if you're in Discord, you're like, wow, Tyler wasn't lying. So again, Tesla here on the day. Now, Tesla was a little bit interesting because again, you can see these little circles here as I bring up VWAP. As you can see, you're just rejecting VWAP basically as the day got started, 1, 2, and then you started breaking back below the 439. So I went short on the retest. You're breaking back down. We're targeting 433 to 432 and then down towards ultimately 426 as the ultimate target. You're moving pretty great, like we mentioned here in Discord. As we can move to technicals go down to Tesla, what we're looking for here, the bing, bing, bing. As you can see, that break, retest, continuation on the downside, pretty perfect. So again, where we're at, same trades. As long as you're below 439, looking for that test to 426. If you bounce at 426, trade it back into like 433, maybe back to 439. Just trading the range back and forth. Below 426, back down to 414. Easy money sniper. Meta, one of your stronger names right now, I will say, as long as this is staying above these like local highs here, like 735 to 733, you look really good on Meta. Now, the problem is you're coming into your 50 MA. This is probably going to be more of a trade into next week. If you get above your 50 MA, I think fireworks could go crazy. And I do think Meta is one of the stocks I'd be tracking going into their earnings because as you look at this name, just get a quick look. Let's get rid of some of this drawings here so you can just see the chart for what it is. You've been getting kind of beat up since basically I would go back to September 19th. You basically been getting beat up. I would have loved to see a 200 SMA touch. You haven't got it yet, but we'll see. This is definitely one of my top watches in the earnings for next week. Google, more of a strong name here. Actually, I'll start with continue with more weak names. The weakest names out there too, I will say crypto isn't responding like I thought it would. MicroStrategy below 281, 280 is very weak, down to 267, then 250. Coinbase, another really weak name as well. It's getting back into 439 above 349, sorry. Above 349, you're looking for 370. But if you stay below this, you're looking for downside back into the 50 MA, easy trade. But again, Bitcoin hasn't responded like I thought it would. It's getting a little bit of a better of a bounce, but again, very choppy down here. Not a lot of continuation, not as good as one would think, my personal opinion. I'm going to let you know that right now. So again, very important to understand why you're looking for it, etc. The biggest area of the market though, that I've seen the upside with has been like semis. So like you're seeing semi stall out a little bit here, but if you look at the SMH ETF here, you can see it's a clear cut ascending triangle with that nasty gap to the upside. So that is really clean. Now, on some of the names I like cheaper wise, ARM, it's held 164. I've been telling you guys, as long as you hold that, you look really good. You're trying to break back into all-time highs. Be watching that. Another cheaper name is MRVL, bouncing off the 200 SMA, pushing back into 183. Next target back into 92, 94. Like that as well. My favorite, the best looking semis, obviously Nvidia. If it can get a daily hold above 184, it's a long. Probably I'm not holding stuff overnight, but NVIDIA is probably a holder right now if you get a daily close above 184. I'll tell you that right now. Very strong. AMD, I think it's the strongest semi right now. It's been a trade and it's been an easy long as long as you held above 227. You're doing that. You held above your level from yesterday to 234. You gapped up 240, going straight up. Probably steer clear, but a really strong name. If you get a retest off of 243 to 240, could be a nice BRB for continuation. Very, very, very strong. Amazon, be very careful with this name. 200 SMA bounce, 211 bounce was very clean. Pushing back into your 50 MA and your 224 level. You have struggled here for a while. So I will say that you can see clear as day. You've seen wicks above and then rejected back down. I want to see us close above the 50 MA, above the 50 MA, targeting 232, 233. Very strong, but again, what and why I'm watching it as well. TSM looking to have a really solid close potentially here. If you hold back above 295, I think this is a long towards 300 and 302. Really nice trade there as well. AVGO, you want to see the hold above 356, but you're just not holding right now. So again, until then, you got to be very careful. The range back and forth is what I look for. 344.5 has been a magnet. Just be careful. Not my favorite trade here. Probably steer clear for me. Eli Lilly, we saw what happened with Trump last week and how he kind of like said he was going to go after these weight loss drugs. Well, spoiler, Eli Lilly's bouncing again. So is HIMS. We'll go into that in a second. But Eli Lilly back above 825 is really strong. Now you have this small level that's kind of developed here, which beyond me, 834. Above 834, looking back for 852 to 850. Very strong name there as well. I mentioned HIMS. Again, I don't really mention this video, but I mentioned it last night as well. Bouncing from the 200 back into the 50 MA, 51.2, above 51.2, 52. Looking back for 55, the next into 60. Really good name. Rinse and repeat. Buy the 200 SMA. Makes a lot of sense. Favorite name for earnings next week? Actually, going to be SoFi. I'm pretty excited about this. This thing might go crazy. I notified Discord about SoFi. I told him, I was like, look, you're holding the 50 MA. This is one of the best looking charts right now as far as mid caps are concerned. Dude, this might have a monster earnings. I'm gonna be totally honest. Be careful though. Still like it a lot. Pretty strong. Another name looking out there right now. I think I'm forgetting one thing. AMAT. AMAT. This is probably one of the cleanest, one of the best looking charts in the game right now. Applied Materials. You can clearly see resistance here at 231. Above 231, price discovery looks nuts, very strong. Holding your level 215, 216, key level there. Last name I'll mention here is going to be CrowdStrike. I mentioned this, dude. Like, this is probably one of our biggest trades in Discord. Congrats to anyone that got this one inside Discord. Like, literally monster trade. Quite literally. So yeah, going into this, I want to show you where I called this one out. Have it enter CrowdStrike, but this might be one of the might be one of the, if not the best looking stocks in my opinion. Remember, PanW ran from 208 to 218. CrowdStrike will run way better, most likely into 540 plus. We mentioned that right here at 508. CrowdStrike this morning, I think, hit 536. I think. Yeah, you hit highs of like 535.6, coming back down. If you get a BRB off of 518, honestly, like, count your blessings, you might get another entry opportunity. But again, where we're at right now, top names, what I'm looking at, how I'm making money in the market. If you have questions, comment down below. See you guys in the next video. Should have one coming out tonight. Have a good one, traders.